Amplifiers. We amplify the unrecognized voices of young people.
We advocate against the injustices faced by young people.
Like
bullying, teenage pregnancy, and substance abuse.
We also address matters influencing the lives of young people, such as
positive parenting skills, child-led initiatives, and children's rights.
Let's talk about matters influencing the lives of young people.
Ayibulabuleni.
Aribulele.
Ariambe.
Let's talk.
Listen to the Amplifiers
Every Saturday morning on Alex FM 89.1. Elevate your mind.
And that song, man, like takes me far. You know, like takes me how many years ago? 2015, still in primary school, like vibing to AKA. That was Baddest by AKA Akome Bena Boy Kulichana and Agarafambagatana Young Baddest. And you know, the baddest youngest team is in studio. But then let me introduce accordingly. Look at the time, it's 8:36. Just for you to tune into LXFM 89.1. I want to find out the amplifiers are playing, and most of the I won't be rolling alone. I have my lovely co-host. She's wearing a white duke namunhla. Hey, Malewa.
And a very good morning to everybody at home. I am Tshepang Mashitwa, well known as Lutendo, and we are gonna be having conversation about Freedom Day today. Hope you enjoy.
Issue and today we have a lovely, like, today's show is epic. You know, like, it's so epic, right? I'd like to introduce someone. He's from the Junior Council, right? Yes. So his name is Mr. Is it Mr. or Honorable? Say Mr. So we have Mr. Kamohelo Malikane from the Junior Council with us. So I'd like to give him a proper introduction. You know, like, I feel like this guy deserves a horn. Let's give him the horn. He needs the Chief, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's an honor.
You're welcome, man. So, as you know, you don't have to be in studio that we engage and I can hit us up on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's Amplifiers_LXFM 9.1. On Instagram, it's Amplifiers_LXFM 89.1. On Twitter, it's Amplifiers_YR. And on TikTok, if you want to hit us up with the like if you want to see me doing the Tralabami challenge, you can catch us up at _Amplifiers, and you can also hit us up on our YouTube page at Child Human Rights Defenders. Remember to subscribe and like, and yeah. So, like my lovely team today, we have content on Freedom Day, being that today is a holiday. So, good people, according to your own understanding, like, what is Freedom Day?
So from my side, Freedom Day would be a day that everybody has to be free, because it was a day where everybody voted for the people they wanted to have freedom on, to have everything and be in the same place, have fun, you know, to be free. Just, it's about freedom. That's why it's called Freedom Day.
Sure. And Mr. Voted in. Tell us more about Freedom Day.
No worries. So I believe Freedom Day is the day our people, the people who were oppressed in South Africa, were finally liberated, and it's when we had our first democratic election. So today I think what we think freedom is very multifaceted. So the term Freedom Day.
That is like you've said quite a mouthful.
Thank you.
Like you said quite a mouthful. And you know, like, to me, it's not only a holiday, it's a pre-holiday. Being that tomorrow is my birthday, so so it's a pre-holiday. Okay, but yeah, when we come back from the ads, you can expect a lovely interview from the gentleman that we had a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Stanley. Mr. Stanley from the Center for Child Law, but you'll hit us up, Maya Nomat.
And record producer.
And the song that you just heard was Funk 99 by Lime Crazy. You know, like this song is doing numbers on the charts. Hey, like this song is cooking.
It's going up.
It's cooking.
It's going up.
It's cooking.
It's showing flames.
But yes, let's talk about Indabaza Izolo. But for us, Izolo was before the ads. So the question is, if you were not tuning in, I'm in no boat. What were you doing this whole time?
Amen.
Okay, so lovely co-host, can you please tell our lovely listeners at home what you were talking about?
So before the ad break, we were talking about Freedom Day, the importance of Freedom Day. What does it mean to the listeners out there, to other people out there who doesn't understand the term Freedom Day?
So yeah, that was very, very informative. And remember, you don't have to be in studio to hit us up. You can catch us up on our social media platforms. Twitter is Amplifiers_YR. On IG is Amplifiers_LXFM89.1. On Facebook is Amplifiers @_LXFM89.1. And on TikTok is _Amplifiers. And on YouTube, it's Child Human Rights Defenders. So, being that this month, particularly today, is the last Saturday of the Sexual Assault Awareness Month, right? I'd like to, there's this document that I read about, and funny enough, my keychain is has the document like typed on it, right? is the National Sex Register, right. So my lovely co-host, can you please tell our listeners at home that according to your own understanding, what do you think the National the Sex Offenders Register is, according to your own understanding?
So the Sex Offenders Register is to protect children. Mainly it's about children, right? Those who are assaulted but don't want to talk about it, or are assaulted but just want to keep it to themselves. Even those who report it but then it doesn't get to wherever they want it to get to. So it is all about children, all about protecting them, their dignity and everything about that.
All right, Mr. Elected, according to your own understanding, Chief, 5 seconds.
Yeah, I would just say it's how children are able to protect themselves from sexual offenses, how they can keep themselves away from situations that they might find themselves in, that kind. Yeah.
I bet. So, my definition is the National Register for Sex Offenders is basically a database which has everyone that has been convicted of sexual offenses, right? But then, just to tell us more about it, we have Mr. Stanley from the Center for Child Law. So, Mr. Stanley, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes. How are you doing this fine morning?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. So, let's get right to it. I want to know, what is the definition of a lawyer of the National Sex Registry?
Okay. Thank you for that question. Let me also just greet your listeners. So the National Sexual Offences Register, basically, it's a register where the particulars of someone who has been found guilty of a sexual offense against a child and a person that is mentally disabled are entered. So basically, this register was enacted by an act of parliament, and it is enacted to give strength to the Sexual Offences Act 32 of 2007. So it's sort of like, if you put it in simple terms, it is a strengthening piece of legislative measure to help tackle the scourge of rape in this country. So basically, apart from ensuring that the particulars of a sexual offender are entered into the register, it goes as further as placing restrictions. For example, if your details are placed into the register, you cannot work with children, nor can you work with or be licensed to work with any institution that works with children, women, and vulnerable people. That will be, like people with disabilities and so forth. And over and above, you cannot apply for foster care, nor can you apply for an adoption. So it safeguards, to a larger extent, against sexual offenders.
I get what you're saying. So being that like that we live in South Africa, and like South Africa is one of the best constitutions in the world, but the problem is we struggle with monitoring. So I want to know, how is the sexual offences register being monitored?
So number one, this register is not open to the public, right? But what happens is that if an employer, let's say, for example, right now you apply for employment, your employer can actually contact the registrar who regulates this register to check whether your particulars are in that register. So, insofar as how that register is regulated, that I cannot speak on, because number one, access to that register is not open to the public. So that means even if your particulars are entered in there, it remains confidential. Therefore, it is up to the employer, it is up to the potential employer to, check whether your registers are included there. But with other organizations, especially organizations that work with children or just with the community in general, those organizations or those places of employment, they would actually require their staff members, to go and do a police clearance, and over and above that police clearance, they will require that their particulars be checked against that register. Some organizations would do it at the inception of employment. Some will even do it during employment. So I guess even though the register is there, its implementation and whether it is actually serving the purpose that it's supposed to serve, it's heavily on the employer. But then, what is interesting and very important is that the Sexual Offences Act 32 of 2007, what it does is that it makes it a criminal offense for an employer, especially an employer whose services involve the engagement of children and people with disabilities. It makes it a criminal offense for that employer to employ someone whose particulars are in that register. So, if we start measuring the strength and the implementation of the register, we can safely say, it has quite a reasonable strength in that should the employer elect not to, check whether the person that they are about to employ, whether their particulars appear in the register, they can be found guilty of employing that particular person, in terms of the provisions of the Sexual Offences Act.
Yeah. So, like what you just said, it just brought upon a question in mind. You know how like it is our constitutional right to what's this like to petition if something is not I'm not being favored. Excuse me, yeah, how is my constitutional right to petition if I don't feel comfortable with a particular bill or a particular thing, right? So I want to know, is it possible for me to petition to get my is it possible for someone to petition to get their names removed from the registry, and if so, what is the procedure?
Okay. Yeah, look, that is a very important question. So, following the judgment, following the judgment of the Center for Child Law versus the National Director of Public Prosecutions and the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development. Now, this judgment, it's a 2014 judgment of the Constitutional Court. So the judgment challenged the provisions of Section 50, subsection 2 of the Sexual Offences Act, to the extent that this provision allowed for the automatic entry of the particulars of a child convicted of a sexual offense. Now, in this case, the Center for Child Law argued that that provision is unconstitutional to the extent that it does not take into account the best interest of the child, and also it backtracks against the principles of restorative justice. So now, what this judgment has brought about is that it has brought about a change. As we sit currently, if a child in our law, is any person below the age of 18. Now, if a child is found guilty of a sexual offense, the amendment in the law now says that child must actually be given an opportunity to make representations why their particulars should not be added into the National Sexual Offenders Register. So, but you see, that amendment of the law, it is only applicable to children. But when it comes to adults, then their particulars are still added. Now, coming back to your important question about what is the procedure in terms of removing those particulars?
But Stanley, I'm very, very sorry. Like, can we? In fact, we must arrange for you to meet us to come and have this discussion in person. Being that,
okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, time is not on our side. But yes, but then we can continue this discussion of ours on our social media platforms. So if you're interested, tune in. That was Stanley Malematja from the Center for Child Law. And it's been the Amplifiers, the youngest team, the young baddest team. We today was very, very informative. It was nice. We learned a lot. Unfortunately, we could not play. But no, it's fine. We'll still play after the thing. My team agrees. So. Right now, let us hand over the studio to the news. The current affairs that are currently happening. Nkuna, let me love and leave you. Catch us same time, same place next week. Tango!